What's going on, my friend? And welcome to another episode of The Messenger with your host, Sam Cologne. And today I have a special guest, my homeboy, Christopher Macken, also known as the Silver Fox, also known as the Conscious Wealth Creator, the one and only. And I am going to let him finish this introduction and introduce himself. My brother, talk to them, Macken.
What's up, everybody? I'm wondering if am I really special or is everybody special that comes on the podcast?
Ah, man, dude, like, why you gonna do that? But
Um,
everybody I bring on, yes, they are special guests.
of course, of course, of course. Happy to be one of the esteemed special guests. Really great to be here with you today. Just such an honor to co-create with you. And yeah, in terms of an intro, I'm just here to dive in, man. My background really is 20 years in finance, entrepreneur, wealth advisor, passionate about leading with my heart, leading by example, helping people, elevating human consciousness, protecting our planet, and providing an abundance of clean drinking water to everyone in the world. So everything I do in my life revolves around those things. And here we are.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, brother. So, something that's I've been seeing that's been like almost like a thread now is this question that's been coming up when I'm doing the interviews, which is on your entrepreneur journey, right? When you made the decision to go into this journey to do what it is that you're doing, what was that like for you? And then when was the transition into the more conscious creation?
My entrepreneurial spirit got built extremely young. I remember wanting to create lemonade stands when I was younger and having a fair amount of success doing that. Also, had the opportunity to work for people for a period of time. And I'm not someone that really likes like being told what to do or likes rules.
Yeah.
So for me, having freedom meant just being able to create my own thing the way I wanted to create it, as much as that could be possible. So yeah, I mean, my first job out of college was as an entrepreneur, and I've been building that business ever since. And I would say that there was a point in time, maybe about 10 to 12 years into my career, where I had a good amount of financial success and I was doing something that I loved doing, and I was making impact with the people I was working with, and I was working with people that I enjoyed, but something was still missing.
Mm.
And to that point, I wound up going deeper into like the questions that I asked people. And when I started to hear back their responses, I had a desire to go even deeper and then continue to go deeper. And then I started to ask those questions to myself too. And yeah, it just created this depth of connection and impact that I've been craving my entire life.
Mm. That's a deep one. Understanding that you've been craving that for your entire life, right? Like, what was the thing that made you recognize like this is that thing that I was looking for?
When I started to feel better without needing other things outside of just like seeing the change in people,
Mm.
right? Like where, yeah, you just got the joy of seeing the shift in people, I guess, as opposed to thinking about like what that meant for the success of your company or other things, like things that you have in your mind about what you want to do or what you want to accomplish or how you want to do it.
Okay. So like you saw that in others, but how about for yourself? Like what was the situation that you're like, like I feel this shift, because like I'm gonna speak for myself. Like throughout my journey, there were certain things that gave me a little nudge, but there were other things that I'm like, that got me. I can share a quick story if you allow me to here. I remember I had on my vision board, I want a house with 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, pool in the back, this and that, blah blah blah, and to that point, a lot of the things that I would write down and jot down, it was manifesting for me, right? And for me, coming from a family that didn't have, no one in my family owned a property here in the United States. They had real estate over in Puerto Rico, but not here in the United States. Only one aunt had a property, and so to me that was something huge. Like okay, I'm gonna be, buying a property for me and my family and so on and so forth. So we got the house, right? And that night that I'm sitting out in the backyard with my wife, we're sitting on the back stoop, we're looking over the pool, it's all lit up and beautiful, clear night, and it's just like, dude, like we were just talking about having this, and we got it. Like those moments where it's like, oh, this feels great. The next day, I walk in and I had another moment of gratitude, and then something came over me and was like, was this for you? Is this like truly what you wanted? Or was this something that it's the American dream? So that's why you want it. Right? And so I had to sit with that. And when I sat with it, I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, it's beautiful to have a home to have for your kids and this and that, blah, blah. But the amount of energy and effort and desire that I had going over it, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. That was everything else saying that that's what you're supposed to have a certain level of success, right? And then at that point, also, there was a monetary goal that I had, which I had hit it before I got the house. So it was just like an accumulation of all these things that I thought I wanted. But when I got them, extremely grateful, like grateful to the point of tears. But was that what I truly wanted? And the answer was like, no, it wasn't. That wasn't what I was feeling the emptiness for. That wasn't the thing that fulfilled that thing that I was filling that void for, right? And it wasn't just that. It was many other things that I was able to manifest that I'm like, oh, wow, this is great, cool. But then afterwards, it faded quickly. It's like, wait a minute. I still feel this emptiness or this desire for something, It wasn't until I released all that I thought I wanted. Everything that the world said that you're supposed to have feel significant, to have success, to have like literally just everything. Just let it all go. Even the title of being a husband and a father, let it all go. And when I felt that emptiness, it kind of felt sad for me. Right? I felt really like lonely and sad. It's like the essence of who I am felt lonely. All right. And after I went through that process, I was okay with being nothing. The point that I got to the point where I was okay with being nothing. Like nothing, the house, the car, the business, the relation, that does not make me who I truly am, the essence of who I am. And so like when I went through that process, it was like I could, there's a whole bunch of other stories that go along with it, but I just wanted to give an example of like, I guess where I want to take this and like, where was that for you? Where was that point where you like, I feel that shift, like you felt the shift, not just observing others, but within yourself.
For me, I feel like I'm in the midst of that moment in time actually right now. I'm somewhat, I would consider myself a neophyte in the world of spirituality and manifesting, and energetics. And yeah, I mean, rewind back, 10 years ago, and I was living in Manhattan, going out 6 nights a week for dinners and cocktails and partying my brains out. And yeah, there was a lot of numbness that existed, that was layered on top of like the element of feeling. So for me, the thought of feeling nothingness, like I didn't even think about the feeling. It was just like,
Mm,
for me, it was actually a lack of feeling.
mm,
And I would say recently, going through the experience of really just giving so much outwards, I wound up starting up another company and funding, that, primarily myself, and hiring teams and investing in other areas of my life, writing a book, and just getting people to support me in that. And yeah, it got to the point where I actually started recently letting go of things that I've accumulated. My my apartment in Manhattan, my house in Florida. Um, I'm currently, most of my stuff is actually right now in storage. Um, so I'm in that process right now about like the having nothingness space. And I feel like I've been here once before, or have been in the feeling space of not having anything, but this time it's different. And this time I feel like I'm at peace
mm,
with everything around me. I feel that I have a really the deepest levels of trust with the guidance that I get, and the connection with, like, the deepest connection I've ever had with myself, that I feel like laser focused, that like regardless of whatever happens in like the 3D world, that I'm being guided to like do the things that I'm doing, and like it doesn't matter like whatever my emotional experience, like, well, it does matter, but am I making sense?
Oh, 100%. I get what you're saying, you know? So it's not that it doesn't matter. It does have a level of matter, right? But the attachment to how it matters to you is different. You don't see it the same. You're not being pulled into the story. So, like, let's say, for example, you said that this happened to you before, right? And I know because this happens in cycles, right? I'm currently working through something that I'll bring into the storyline in a little bit, but these things happen in cycles, right? And typically, like for me, it's like when you go into these, I call them dark areas of self. It's like walking into a dark room without a fucking flashlight, right? So it's like you're trying to figure out, like you in there, you can feel it, but you're still trying to figure it out. When it comes around in cycles again, it's almost like this time now you got a flashlight. And when you go in there, you recognize the room. And now, with the understanding that you have, you put on the flashlight. And now you becoming more comfortable being in that space, right? And having that, and having the know-how on how to navigate that. Well, I saw this before. I dealt with this before. I felt this. I do this. You can now navigate that space better. So yeah, of course, you're not going to be in there with that same attachment of fear. It's like, think about walking into a room that's dark that you've never been in. You're literally inching every way, touching everything, trying to figure out every little inch. However, when you've already had the experience, not that you master it, but you've had the experience, now you can recognize, like, oh, wait a minute, I do remember here there was a couch. I do remember here was a television. I do remember here there was a pot. You know what I'm saying? There was a plant pot there. So you have some type of something to go by to allow you to feel more comfortable in the space, right? So being that you've already experienced the space before, now it's just a certain level of comfortability where you go, now you're navigating it differently. And like for me, from my experiences, when this starts to happen, this is where the mastery comes in, right? Because there's layers of it where it's like you have the unconscious competence, right? But when you're dealing through it, you're recognizing, like, I know I've been through this before. I recognize this. Now this is where the conscious competence come in. And now you're navigating and figuring and learning yourself more. Like, oh, this, I remember this. But now you're seeing it from a different perspective because you're looking at it as a whole versus like where you was before, you know? So I think the more these layers come off and the more we start to recognize ourselves and learn ourselves more, when these patterns and behaviors and things that we're working through to expand our consciousness, when they come up, we can navigate them more easily. And that's where that peace comes in. And I truly think like the peace is such a good, like a good compass for navigation when you're navigating these spaces. When your piece is rattled, oh, you better pay attention because there's a lesson here for you. But when you can navigate through peace, there's still growth, but there's a different confidence in that. And when there's a confidence, you have the competency. And I think that this is where conscience, the actual consciousness, like being competent in what you're doing consciously instead of unconsciously, comes in.
Yeah, I think there's two things that come up when you were sharing that. One, that every time is different, right? Like the experiences, you rarely find yourself in the same dark room where you're like, oh, here I am in the same exact again. Yet I feel that when there's certain levels of skin that you can shed around, like you said, your attachment to certain things. I mean, for example, if I can rewind back and say, okay, well, at what point was I maybe here once before? There was a lot of anxiety that would come up and worry, fear, right? That would come up about like, what's going to happen? Like, I need to like figure stuff out. I need to like call people. I need to like find the money. I need to do this. I need to do that. And this time around, I'm actually like, I've been working with someone for the past few weeks around actually not doing anything. And when the parts come up around anything, like, being in actually contemplation more and letting myself witness the parts of myself that are maybe come up and just like observing them from a space of not judgment or, like if, for example, if I get fearful, if I have an anxiety, like coming up and just being like, I'm aware of that, but yet I know that's actually not my true essence. But I'm not going to judge it for happening because it's just a thought, right? And I'm just going to let that go. But where does it come from? Let's go deeper with that. Like, where does that thought come from? Is it a conditioning? Is it a experience? Is it a whatever? And like going deep into those experiences, like giving yourself the space to actually really, truly process the piece,
Yes.
right? So as much as as an entrepreneur, I think especially like a lot of people would understand, I've been a big doer, man. I love to create. I love, I have multiple businesses. I just launched a book. I have other businesses that I want to start, and I'm excited about all the things. And there's me. So I get to do all these things. Who's it for? Right? If I'm wanting to do all these things for impact, right? If that's really truly what it is, okay, well, you can't do those things and take care of other people without taking care of yourself first. So if you're not giving yourself that space to really truly process the things and like, yeah, like give yourself the downtime, like the idea of, working 70, hours a week as a startup, founder, like that's just like, what everybody talks about. I'm like, yes, and I've been there. And I know like what that has a potential of leading, like what path that has a potential of paving for people. Because some people can't get out of that and they're just stuck in that forever and they're always moving at, 1,000 miles an hour. I'm choosing to do it differently this time. I'm choosing to have more trust, have more grace, stay true to my beliefs, my values, my intentions, and see what shows up.
Mm, that is so good. Oh man, such a good share. That is a huge nugget. For those of you watching, like, you want to rewind that part a couple times because it's so true. Now, this is the little story that I said I was gonna add on later on, and you gave me the segue perfectly. I'm not surprised, right? So, I've been doing a lot more combat training. So starting, I think it was April 28th, 2024, I decided, like, I'm gonna dive deep into combat training, kickboxing, boxing, and physical training, right? And so I implemented through the training. I did a little sparring, right? But now I'm actually sparring outside of training with my actual trainer. And so as I am learning myself better, because this is the thing, right? Understanding that this process that we're going through, and we can call it energetic, spirituality, life, whatever, however we want to call it. Everybody's going to see through a different set of lens. But having the understanding, this is about learning yourself, learning who you be, right? Why you be how you be, and then making a choice if you want to continue to be this way or not, right? And so as I'm in there, through the sparring sessions, I realized I'm really comfortable because I know what I'm doing. So I'm in there, bam, bam, I'm jabbing, whatever, bam, bam. I can counter and, do my thing. But I felt like when the onslaught came in, because I'm of the mentality I'm not afraid to get hit, I was allowing myself to get hit. And I had this realization for myself. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Just because you're not afraid of getting hit, don't allow yourself to get hit. But what I saw even more was when I allowed myself to get hit, it allowed the opposition to say, okay, I can go harder. And now the opposition was getting confident and it was coming harder and faster. When that happened, right away, my reflex was to get heightened, right? So my calm and cool collective of countering and stepping around, all that shit went out the window. I'm literally like trying to land a shot, right? And then that little voice inside, that inner guidance, this is why it's so important to understand yourself, kicked in. Relax, breathe, and you will see the opening. If you are flailing, and all this happens like in a microsecond for me, right? If you are flailing, think about yourself being in water, flailing, and all these ripples. Can you see through? You're not going to see the opening. Relax, breathe, block, you'll see the opening. So I took the guidance, breathe, calm down, and I'm moving around while he's attacking. Boom, I saw the opening. Bam, right to the sternum. Stopped him on his tracks, right? But the thing is, I would not have seen that, you know what I'm saying? If I would have stood in the mode of like, ah, ah, ah. So now learning thyself, understanding thyself. There's this thing it's a saying, know thyself. But it's not just about knowing thyself, it's being thyself, right? And so, like, just because I know and I'm aware of what it is that just happened, if I'm not taking the action to step into that new version of self, which is breathe, relax, and you'll see the opening, trust that guidance, I would never have seen that opening, and I would have kept on getting fucking whopped on if I didn't take that guidance. And that is the same thing in life, right? In life, if you're constantly on an onslaught, and because you have the ability to take the punch, you're like, come on, bring it. I'm going to keep on going. Come on, bring it. Grit, grind, whatever. Then that's the story that you're going to continue to live. But if you actually take the time, take a step back, like you're saying, just, I'm going to do nothing and allow myself to observe, now you can see things that you didn't see before. And now your choices come from an empowered place versus from a disempowered place of desperation, right? Before, I'm blocking in desperation, but the moment that I took that confident back, breathe, I'm blocking very easily, opening, bow. Stop the onslaught. Now I'm able to step around, and now my confidence through the roof. But if I would have allowed myself to stay in that, he would have just kept on until the round was over, or I had to take a knee. And I think that having that understanding of self, understanding, I'm going to learn myself, and it doesn't matter if the situation is on repeat. Because there's things that for me, they've been on repeat. Like they'll come up over and over. I think that I've worked through it, but I see another angle from it. And I'm like, okay, I see. I can see why this repeated for me. And then I pivot and boom, it's gone. There are other things that I'm still working through. Particularly for me, one of the things that I'm constantly working on and working through is my relationship with my wife. Because to me, as you evolve, you become different people, right? And so having that understanding that we need to evolve with each other, and we're not always gonna evolve at the same pace, but I'm here for the ride. And sometimes that frustration gets to me, you know. But understanding myself and why it is that this is coming up and how I attach our situations into my business and to, opportunities that I'm working on and to the new thing that I'm doing with the podcast and coaching others and all these different things, like they're all attached to one another. And as I'm learning myself more, I get to now make a different choice. Because I'm like, okay, I'm acting like this and because that. And where did that start from? That started from here. That started from there. I worked through it this way, but I was unaware that now it's attacking me this way. So let me become aware of this way. And it's just like learning thyself. I don't think that it's a bad thing that we are in a constant expansion, but also allowing ourselves that time to chill out, right? Give yourself that time of peace, to now see in clarity, to now be able to respond. So this brings me to another story, which is today I had my training with my trainer, and he goes to me like, yo, you sharp as shit today. Like, what did you do different today, right? What's going on? That you're like, you're not fatigued, you're super sharp. I said, I haven't trained since last Thursday. I literally let myself rest for 4 days. Nada. I'm talking about if I did anything, it was something short that I had to do for the house, maybe take a little Target run with the wife, but it was in and out, then back home for the last 4 days, allowing myself to recoup, stretching, meditation, being in reflection. And today was proof that giving myself that space, my performance was so much better, almost effortless. If I could say that, almost effortless. It was like, boom, combination,
Beautiful.
boom, stepping around, boom, everything effortless. Why? Because I allow myself the space to be able to now embody and integrate the work that I've already done. And I think that that's a part of this journey, that we need to allow ourselves that space to do nothing, to let the energy settle, to let the seeds germinate and go through that process of incubation, right? And then come out in our reality. But if we're constantly messing with the dirt, that seed ain't gonna grow. You gotta allow the space.
Yeah. I'm curious Sam, thank you so much for sharing both of those stories. And I'm curious just to touch on that doing nothing. What is doing nothing to you? Because
So
doing
good.
nothing is different to everybody. Like
Yes.
it might be like sitting outside in the sun, like on Instagram, like
That's a good
scrolling through
question.
their feed or reading a book or meditating. Is meditating doing nothing, or is that doing? So I'm curious, like what you would define as that.
That is a good question. Like, all right, so and for the purpose of the story, doing nothing was not training, right? However, for the purpose of, let's just say, giving the space for seeds to germinate and things to matriculate into our reality, nothing is that thing that you already saw as done does not need you to try to help it. That's, to me, is nothing. So I did the work, I tilled the dirt, I opened it up, I put the seed, I watered the soil. Right? Now, it's not up to me to go in there and start playing with the dirt to see if the seed is sprouting. Right? And so to me, doing nothing is not interfering with the soil, giving the space for that seed to germinate. Right? So for everything is going to be different. But for metaphysical purposes, that's what I mean when I say don't do nothing. Right? It doesn't mean like you do nothing, like you said, like you go in a corner and you sit down and do nothing. No, but that thing that you're looking to bring into fruition, that you've been working hard on, that you put all the things in place, you put the seeds down. There's no need for you to just keep on freaking messing with the dirt. Chill out. Let it manifest. Let it come into fruition. And be aware.
Yeah. I also want to state that sitting in the corner, if that's what you feel like your body needs at the moment, to do it and allow
Go for
yourself
it.
to do it, right?
Go
Without
for it.
judging yourself for that.
That's another good point.
Yeah, I think as entrepreneur, again, I'm coming at this because I think entrepreneurs, oftentimes I see this with them, that they're constantly there's always a list of things to do, right? Whether it be as an entrepreneur, as a dad, as both, especially you, man, you got big family to take care of, that everyone has their support that they, could use, right? So there's always something or some opportunity for you to lean in and support. But it's a matter of making the conscious choice for yourself. Okay, like, where can I find that point where, like, okay, you know what? This is the time where I'm gonna actually take this moment for myself. I'm gonna go, and if it's sitting in the corner or meditating or what have you, but just making sure that you take that space for yourself. And I think that
So good.
in my experience, what I've seen, and part of, like, really what has gotten me to this point is by going through. It started off as just like going on, like joining masterminds and going on retreat experiences. You and I have been a part of some of them together, where you disconnect from this for multiple days at once, where you disconnect from the needs of the family, where it's actually really on you and other people there kind of like supporting you and like holding that space for you to do whatever it is that you need to do, and like take that time for yourself to be selfish, to fill up your cup. And those experiences, I think, can give you sometimes that clarity that you need to see that through line, right? Of, well,
Indeed.
this is my
Yes.
shot, or this is what I need to actually do at this company. And you're not even like thinking about your company, but all of a sudden you'd be like, sitting there in the doing nothingness or being supported space. And like all of a sudden out of left field, like, boom, you'll get like the hit about like, this is what I got to do. For example, yeah, I was in like my Vipassana in India. It was about a year and a half ago. And like, I'm sitting there staring up at the ceiling. What the hell am I doing here? I'm in India. It's 125 degrees out. I'm sweating, butt naked, staring at the ceiling. I haven't slept because I can't sleep because I meditated 10 hours today. And then like all of a sudden it was like, boom, you got to do this. You got to write a book. And I'm like, well, that wasn't in the vision board, but like it was just like so clear and so deeply felt. I was just like, okay. So I did it. Right. So I think that giving yourself those opportunities for space, whether it be in just a few minutes or a few days or 10 days, whatever it looks like for you, is just so important. And not to expect the clarity, but just to like give yourself that space and to see what comes, like what is needed to come through or not during that period of time.
Oh my gosh, so good. I'm so happy you brought some light into that, because I'm big on actually doing nothing too. When I told you one of my big meditations is laying on the floor, spreading my legs and my arms to the side, and just completely vegging out on the floor. I'll do that for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, as long as I need. As long as if I still feel tension and my peace is interrupted, I will stay there.
Yeah, and well, hold on, if you don't mind me asking, and how many kids do you got?
6.
And you have a wife?
Yes.
And you have you have how many businesses?
Multiple businesses. Yeah.
And you do a podcast, and you still are able to do all this?
Yes. Yes.
Magic.
I'm happy you bringing this up too. So
no excuses. No excuses.
Yes, exactly.
And you work with a trainer, and you're learning something new, and you're working out, and you're on a new diet, and I mean, damn, bro. Let's go.
And I still got time to connect with my friends one-on-one, to connect with clients one-on-one. I still do all that,
Wait, hold on. I want to know, are there more than 24 hours in the day for you?
Nah, man, just 24, buddy.
Do you not sleep?
Yes, I do. I was just talking about that. Like, I make sure I get those 7-8 hours of sleep in. You know?
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a magician, and he's in the 3D at the moment. So
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yeah.
possible.
Yes, it is 100%. Yeah, and I'm happy that you are pointing that out as well, because that's a huge, because a lot of people think like, oh, you could do it, but I can't. Well, guess what? I wasn't able to do this before. You know, I was in the trenches just like everybody else. Literally, I had ticks. I would be driving and I'll rattle off numbers from like dealing with so many properties and figures and finances. I'll be driving like 25, 26, 2700, 20, like just rattling numbers off, man. My wife one time caught me and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't even know. Just leave me alone." But that's not a good place to be. That's your nervous system is hijacked. You're doing random things that you don't even know what you're doing.
Yes, and that's like the default like un that's the it's just the default like way of what you trained your body and mind to be. And then you had a choice. Do I want to continue on with this, or actually do I want to shift? And at that moment, you decided, you made a very conscious, aware, intentional decision that you didn't want to continue with your life in that way. And boom, it didn't happen all at once. It happened, and then it started to pave a new path for you, right?
Indeed. Yep.
And to where you are today. And that path continues to be paved.
Exactly. 100%. Constantly being refined in that path. But the part of the path that we're in now, well, we're having this podcast sharing with others. You know what I'm saying? And I truly believe that that's a part of my path is, and I believe that's the same for you. If you don't believe that, you can correct me. Is to be able to share these experiences with others. You know, like that book that you are writing. Are you done with the book already? Or we still in the works?
It is 96% done.
Okay. All right. All right. So, you want to just throw a little sprinkle about the book in here?
Sure. So, I I would say this before I speak about the book, in that one thing that's become aware for me is, I used to think I don't have any fear. Like, I'm okay to die. Like, I don't, whatever. I've been through a lot of things. And yet there's like, I think subconscious fears that you're not really truly aware of that exist that have been, covered with a mishmash of things that like still kind of have you operating in a certain default or like a certain looping mechanism. And I say that because there's a lot of stuff that's been coming up for me recently, and it's around fear. Like things
Totally.
that were like are coming up that actually I do have fears, but like there was like, well, that's not really, no, those are actually fears that I was covering up. And now that they're coming forward, it's like, whew, it's real work. And you had shared about, or you had mentioned, one of the things that you believe that you see me in like sharing more, and I agree. I feel there's really certain parts of me that are excited to share more. There's also certain parts of me that I'm so like unsure, right? Um, but I know that that's like what gets to come along with this said thing so that I can create the impact that I want to create. And, I'm like, I get to work through like the stuff that comes up along the way, right? And also check in and be like, is this really what I'm meant to be spending my time on now? Or is this really how I'm meant to be getting my message out? Right.
Yes.
But you get to check in with yourself. There's no one that gets to tell you what you need to do or not. It's like, all right, let me actually tune in and see if does this really truly feel like a calling? And if so, am I ready to do it now? If not, like, let me hire someone to get coached on how to do it. right? Or it'll help me work through the stuff that's going to come up because I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it on my own. And that was one of the first things that
Mm.
I chose to do last year. I actually hired a woman. My speech, public speaking has been something that I used to use a lot of ums and ahs, and hopefully I haven't done it much in this transmission here. But I have in the past, and one thing that I was really fearful of is, or am I worthy enough, or am I good enough to be able to speak on stage, right? Do I have enough of a message to share? And I wound up working with a speaking coach for about 3 or 4 months or so, and she helped me develop like a foundational speech and like just really refine it. And it was just, I mean, it was even more painful than the book to refine a speech, because it was like the book, it's like, all right, it's 100, 60, 70 pages. I'm like, if one page is off, no big deal. But like, this is like a 7-minute speech, right? It's got to be like, boom, like so clear and to the point and getting emotions and, the roller coaster and like the whole process. But I wouldn't have been able to do that by myself, or it would have taken me years. I made the
Mm.
choice, like, all right, like, do I want to operate in this way, or do I want to really like step up, level up to the next state, to the next level, and work through the things that have been kind of limiting me, keeping me small, keeping me from sharing my voice in a way that's really felt in a deep way through the audience. And
Mm.
what's going to need, what needs to happen in order to do that, right? So I've put my money behind me and make these investments, and I've also been spending the time, and we'll see what comes about.
Mm. Mm. That is so good. That's so good. As you're sharing, what stood out for me is when we uh, when we are okay with not knowing. Like it's such a powerful thing. When we are okay with not being able, it's such a powerful thing, right? And so like take for example, let's just say me going into training, right? Doing combat training. Like my coach, I pay him top dollar to push me, right? So he's gonna push me to do shit that I don't think that I can do. But being okay with doing these things that I think that I can't do, and being okay with fouling up, being okay with falling on my face, being okay with messing up. And then, okay, can you help me do this better? What did I do wrong? What can I change? What can I this? What can I that? And then a couple sessions in, I'm rocking it. I'm doing it. But being okay, that's life for us. Being okay with being in that place of I don't know, asking for help, getting the right guidance, I think is freaking like one of the biggest pieces to my personal self growth. Of being like, I'm not okay right now. I need some help right here. Let me call my boy. Let me call my sister. Let me call it. Let me call somebody that can help me with this. Oh, I'm unsure. How do I do this? Like on my website, on the real estate website, I've been working on it with the sense of like I think I know what to do, right? And so I was hiring people based upon what I thought I had to hire these people for. Just about probably July of last year, I'm like, this is not working, dude. You've been doing the same thing over and over throughout the years. Like, yeah, whatever. We getting leads. Our website ranks really well in the state of New Jersey and everything, but it's not what you envision, what you feel. So what are you not doing? I'm not asking for help. I'm not asking and saying like I don't know what to do different and asking for help. So I went out and I hired several consultants. I found two out of those several consultants that can help me with these different angles that I'm currently doing for marketing. Mm-hmm. And since then, I can say like these last 2-3 months, it's been picking up. And now I'm feeling like like this is what I saw. Now my new thing is how the CRM is working, how our follow up is, how the text messages are going on, how the contracts are created. I've had a system in the past that I thought to me, okay, this is the best way. But being in this place of like, no, I'm asking for help. Guess what I did? I called one of the guys that are helping me right now. Like, yo, do you know how to blah, 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 and do this and do that? Blah? You say, actually, yeah, I can help you with that too. 100%. Psst, say no more. I'm sending you access to the back office so that you can help me out with that. And then you invoice me what it is that needs to be done here. But asking for help and being okay, just because I've been doing real estate for over 15 years, it doesn't mean that you know everything, guy. You don't know everything.
Yeah.
Take a step back and know that you don't know. And be okay with the fact that you don't know. And I think what you explained there, it's being okay with being vulnerable and not knowing and being, okay, I need help with this. Guide me through this. And guess what? That gap closes. You got that done, in 3 or 4 months, right? Yeah. Where if you would have tried to do it on your own, it would have took you forever.
Yeah.
God knows how long.
There's one thing I'm become really certain about, that there's nothing to be certain about.
That is a good one.
Yeah, that's the only certainty that I have, is that, I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow or the next week
that is so good. We got to put that on a shirt, Macken. Like, we need to put that on the. That's a good one right there. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, tell me more. Tell me a little bit about the book, because I know we pivoted off. You wanted to give that first piece about the speech before you went into the book a little bit.
Well, and one more thing before I get into the book, and not to avoid the book, but I want to follow this thread of because this is the second time it's come up in my mind, and what I heard from you was that you have people in your life that you feel you can trust and reach out to for support, which I know that, I'm close with my family, my sisters, my parents. And there's also sometimes where they are so interconnected into your world and know you so well, and want to love you and just want to nurture you and you to be happy, and so I feel that sometimes, not every time, but sometimes it's really important to have someone outside of your world to just lay down the facts, that knows enough about you through experience to help navigate, but isn't doing it from a place of just wanting to make you happy, or just
Yes.
there's gotta be some level of complete independent delivery of their response, of their reflection back to you.
Yes,
right? As opposed to
100%.
giving you something that they think that you want to hear just to make you feel better. Right?
Yes,
because it's sometimes the hard stuff that I think that those closest to us are I don't know if I want to navigate, depending, right? Not again, some people might have those relationships with their family and friends that they'll just tell them how it is, cold, as cold as it may seem. But yeah, I think there's this element of the importance of working with people that are kind of outside of your immediate network, right?
100%. I think there are a few people in my circle. You are one of them, that we have conversations, and I hope that I'm that for you too, where it's real. This, I'm not trying to sugarcoat shit just to make Macken happy. You know what I'm saying? If you going through something, I give it to you raw. Hey, my brother, ding dong bing bing. I mean, I'm not a dick about it, but I tell you what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's really important. And then as a person, for me, as I develop as a person, I understand personalities better. I understand soul feeling. There's a soul connection. And when I'm in the conversation with somebody, delivery is not even in question, because I'm coming from a heart-centered place, and what needs to be said will be said. And if it didn't need to be said, it won't be said, And so I trust that in all conversations, but that's a good thing to point out, that you do want to have what I will call accountability partners, right? You want to have people in your life that that they love you enough to hold you accountable, and it takes great maturity from my experience to be able to welcome that into your life. not everybody is okay with accountability. A lot of people talk about, yeah, accountability, accountability. The moment that you put a mirror on their face on something, they're cursing you. And like, oh, I thought you wanted accountability. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, and this conversation is bringing up something for me where, um, with that adage is saying that like you are like the closest five people around you that you spend most of your time with, or what have you. And it was around this time last year, maybe a month later or so, where I actually was like, you know what? I gotta move some pieces around. Um, and I felt that I needed to change up my first five.
Mm,
And at the time I decided to change up my first five, I wrote down some of the other couple people that might be able to replace the couple people I was taking out. And you were one of those people. And the reason why is because of there's many, many, many layers to this, but one of the reasons why is for what you just said before, your authenticity, your connection. And two, at the same time, I mean, like, not for nothing, folks, like the day I messaged you, or I was off Wi-Fi because I was in a retreat, and I like wrote down, all right, Sam. And then I was gonna like reach out to you on Monday to like be like, Sam, like you wanna get to know each other better? You wanna be like best friends or whatnot? I like said, I was like, it was like I was just thinking I wanted to go deeper with you too. And like literally the same day we figured the same time, we both had the same thought. And that was just like the sign, like, okay, we're meant to go deeper with one another, right? But making the space, sometimes we need to make the space and let go of maybe if something comes up, like who are the five people you call, right? If some people call five, I usually call one, if any, but some people call five. And sometimes we need to like take two of those people out and replace them with two other people, right?
mm,
But you need to ask yourself, like, look at yourself in the mirror, like, are these people really truly like seeing me where I am and giving me like authentic like feedback that I can trust and that I know is like elevating me versus kind of keeping me small, right?
mm,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. Now, back to the book, because you've been asking about the book. So the book right now is called Conscious Wealth. I spell wealth Wellth. So wealth, um, leading with well-being is a new form of currency, one that leads with abundance, joy, prosperity, happiness. And over the past 20 years working with people and money, I manage I don't know, somewhere like a little less than 200 million or so at the moment, for a variety of different individuals and companies, pension plans. And what always seems to be present is people's relationship that they have with money. They're all very different, but that they're often tied to experiences,
Mm,
right? So like so I view money as energy. It's a frequency, carries a frequency. Um, and one of the first questions I ask people is like, when you think about money, what needs, concerns, or feelings come to mind, right? One of the second questions I ask is like, what, what true life desires do you have? And are you doing something that you're passionate about, right? And if there's a fear around like scarcity, for example, is leading, like, right? I would say more times than not, people's mindsets come from a place of scarcity around not having enough or being able to provide enough or, running out of money, right? In some way, shape, or form, however you look at it. And the where that often comes from is again an experience, or if they're unhappy at work but they're making a lot of money. Well, why are you doing this thing at work? Well, my parents wanted me to do this. They always wanted me to be a doctor even though I wanted to be an artist, right? So it's like, okay, what experiences have you had in the past that have led you to this place that you think about money a certain way, or you think about your career a certain way, or did your career a certain way? And does it still serve you in this moment?
Mm.
Right? Like, is my operating system that I've been using for 5, 10, 15, 20 years around money, should my operating system be upgraded? Right? Like, one of the
Mm.
first things for me when I first started working, I'm like, all right, I'm going to create my goals. All right, I'm going to make $1 million by the time I'm 30. To me, I'm like, all right, I'm 21. That leaves me 9 years. So I got to make like a little over $100,000 a year. I'm like, man, that's a lot of money. And
Mm.
this is only like 20 years ago. So it's not that long ago. Um, the first year I was working, bro, I made over 100 grand. So then it was like, boom, like, no, this is like,
This is not
I'm
a lot
like,
of money.
wait, I'm like, I worked pretty hard. I mean, I worked like at work like 7 days a week and whatever, because I was just driven by making money, and we won't go into that part of it. But what it did was it like took me to like a new level of what I knew was possible. So I'm like, the next year I was like, I want to make $1 million a year by the time I'm 30, instead of $1 million collectively for the next 9 years. Um, So it's those experience. It's sometimes I think these opportunities we have to kind of look at things through like a different lens, to break free from like what our limiting belief system was about what we think is possible, to like burn out that and like move into, boom, no, this, right? This is who I am. This is what is possible. I know it's possible. Yeah.
Mm. That last part. When you saying that I know it's possible, like, are you saying that being stuck in that I know it's possible, or staying malleable, understanding that more is possible?
Understanding that there is no limit to what is possible.
Booyah. Yes, indeed.
Like
100%. Yeah.
literally, we are, oh man, the gratitude that I give myself each and every day for just even being on this call right now with you. I mean, I literally, technology is often part of my gratitude practice, because like I'm in Costa Rica right now. I'm living here for the next few months. It's my new home, and I'm here having like a really clear, like, you look so crystal clear and you sound so damn good. I'm like,
Nice.
a year or 2 years ago, even doing this before Starlink was available, I mean, shit, my power would have went out maybe 3 times by now. And, my internet, forget about it. I would maybe have to go to a cafe or something, internet cafes, like, but now, like, as we continue to evolve, like, things just are getting easier and easier and easier to do. So really, like, I mean, anything is possible. Anything is possible. It might be a different timeline than what you want it to exist, or what your level of possibility is, or like what your desire is. But if it's meant to happen, it'll happen, right? So if you really truly tune in and believe that, like, now's the time where I get to do this, and it feels like a fuck yes,
Mm.
like,
Mm.
do it. And
Mm.
if
100%.
you fail, you'll learn exactly what it is meant to learn along the way. And I got news for you: most, you know, billionaires fail all the freaking time. you know?
100%. And for me, I think that even looking at failure as through a different set of lens, that
Yeah.
that helps, right? Because I remember before I used to say failures are the stepping stones to success. I literally had that shit on plastered on my Facebook wall when I first started my entrepreneur journey, right?
Yeah.
But then I got to the point where I look at it's not failure, right? It's a result that's offering me back feedback. That's all it is. Even things that are quote unquote what we call success. I'm getting the feedback that the things that I did worked. When we do air quotes here, failures, things that fail, we're getting feedback of the things that didn't work. Like to me, even having that sense of like connection with the word failure or the circumstances or situation of failure, it takes away the stress of failing. Like, what do you mean failure? There's no such thing as freaking failure. The only thing is you're getting back the feedback that didn't work for you. Does it feel good? No, it's a fucking shit sandwich right now. However, I learned that don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, and what actually work is do this, do this, do that. Boom. Let's go. Let's regroup and move forward. And from my experience, some of the most wealthiest people that I know they have that mentality. They have the mentality of like, this is not like, oh, I failed and it's over for me. No, it's more of like, okay, this didn't work out. What did work? What didn't work? Let's pivot and let's move forward. And it builds this sense of resiliency and confidence in self when you do that. Because, like I said before, not knowing or being okay with failing, air quotes, it's important for our evolution. At least I think so, you know?
Yeah. And that word, yeah, failure can, you know, whether you use failure or restructure or learning lesson or however you want to look at it, there's just always something to learn from experience, right? And
Yes.
sometimes those lessons cost us a lot of money,
Yes.
but in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter as long as you don't give up.
Mm.
As long as like whatever maybe didn't work out the way that you imagined it to work out, that you just stay in that space of curiosity, of tuning into your values, your heart, and your mission, and you will receive the things that you need to receive in order to build what's next.
Yes, 100%, man. So as we transition to like ending this episode, brother, um, is there anything that you feel that you want to end this with, right? And then we can talk about how people can link up and connect with you.
Mm. Gratitude feels appropriate.
Mm.
That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Mm.
I had an experience recently where um I cried for about 2 hours as a result of feeling gratitude for life
Mm. Mm-mm.
and like the experience that we get to have as human beings in this wild world that we live in. And I've I've been grateful for my life before. This time was different. And I would say that there's multiple things that made it feel different. But if you find yourself kind of going through the motions, so it's like, right, okay, what do I need to do to, work through things? Okay, I need to journal, I need to meditate, I need to, work out, I need to get gratitude practice, I need to hire a coach, I need to do this, I need to blah 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 blah. if you find yourself at one point going through the motions and then just doing the things just because you think that's what you need to be doing, to actually step back to the doing nothingness, reorganize, regroup, and then ask yourself what you need. Like, ask yourself, like, what do I need in this moment? How do I need to start my day? How do I need to spend my day? What do I need to be doing for exercise? What do I need to be doing for joy, for playfulness? What do I need to be doing for work, maybe even? And doing it from a place of, just being yourself, will give you the clarity that you need. And man, how much of a gift is that?
Indeed.
I am deeply grateful, deeply, like my heart is exploding right now.
I
I
feel it.
almost feel like the heart's going on Zoom right now for you. I remember the first time that we had lunch together and you talking about doing exactly this was several years ago. And I couldn't be happier to see the logo for your podcast, and that it was all kind of coming together. And yeah, I appreciate you stepping up and sharing your message to bring in, you know, these really special people. I looked back at your podcast and saw some of the other people that you hosted, and yeah, I just want to give some love to you, man, and extend my gratitude to you for being who you are and the husband that you are, the father that you are, the deeply embodied man that you are, and with just such like grace and it's so delicious. I love our hugs. I just feel like it's just so good. So good. So yeah, man, just gratitude for all those things and just for being here with you, co-creating.
Oh my gosh, received. I appreciate you. And for those out you listening and feeling this transmission, I know you can feel his heart. Like beautiful, beautiful soul over here, brother. Thank you so much for being on the show. I
Mm.
love you. I appreciate you sharing so openly, and I'm sure the people listening and watching are going to appreciate it as well, man. So sending you so much love, so much appreciation. You know what it is. And for you guys, my beautiful friends, I want to say thank you. Thank you for staying here, watching the show to the end, listening to the show to the end. And I want to ask a favor. Please share. Please subscribe. We want to grow this channel. We've had some success in the last year, but we really want to grow this channel and get the word out, get the message out. And it can't be done without your help. So I'm asking for your help. And remember, until next time, I am you are me, and we are one. Sending you much love.